Hi everyone, I'm Catharine Mackintosh. I'm the CEO and founder of Listed, and I'm so pleased to be here today with Maureen Seguin with Oakwyn Realty, and we're going to have a talk about real estate, the market, being in the industry. So this has been a long time coming because I know I'm so fortunate I got to come from Toronto and come visit you, and it's really interesting when we expand as a company, and I was right away drawn to you because, you know, this is a relationship business, and we met through a relationship through one of our mutual great friends. And then the funny thing about that is there's two other people we know and have in common. So it's very important to me and our company at Listed that we have the best realtors using Listed, because if a person just downloads Listed from the internet, right, how do you get a good realtor? And we want to make sure that they just get someone who's amazing. So I think my first question to you really is, how did we get so lucky to have you? Like, how did you get into real estate to even begin with? Where did this journey start?
Wow, let's unpack that one. No, you know what? The short answer is I was raised with real estate. My dad was a single parent. There was three of us. I was the oldest. And my dad would flip homes in the 80s and 90s to pretty much for some extra cash. He had a full-time job, which he hated, but he did this for extra cash. So I was surrounded by real estate my whole entire life. I remember one of the words he said to me during high school was, "No daughter of mine will ever rent." And I was really thrown off by that. Yes, but I took it to heart. At 21, I bought my first house. Barrie, Ontario, different time, but it was $160,000, $170,000. Again, different time, 15-year amortization. Wow. But it was a different time. Scary because I was still 21, taking on all this risk. But best advice I ever got. And it was because of that initial purchase that was I able to start climbing the real estate ladder, and brought me to Vancouver and being able to afford property here.
This is so interesting. So you basically had an education in real estate kind of growing up before you even knew you wanted to get into this.
I had the eyes of an investor. My dad was very good at finding homes and how to just simply put lipstick on a pig, how to paint it, you know, he's not a contractor by any means, but just how to make simple fixes to make it more livable for the next family. And that's kind of the same eyes I look into everything. Real estate, yes, it's a home. It's something that you will spend lots of hours in for sure. But at the end of the day, it's four walls. It's what you bring to that property that makes it a home. And those are the eyes I think a lot of my clients appreciate as well, is going through it, making sure if we're walking into a condo with a super long hallway, addressing that right away, that this is the hallway that is eating up your square footage. Right.
It might be 600 square feet, but 400 of it's in the hallway.
Exactly. Sometimes that's the case. But I would say though, my why I'm still in here, I mean, I got into real estate in 2010 that I started selling full time. And since then, I have a young family. I have been very fortunate to have that time with my young family. I've been able to travel the world with my husband, and real estate has given me opportunities I never thought were possible from a small town girl.
So it's actually interesting that over your almost 15-year career so far, your why changes over time, and probably your relationship to your clients change and grow in importance, and what matters to you changes.
Absolutely. I find when I first got into it, I was drawn to mostly first-time home buyers because of the age, right, when I got into it. And that was really fun. I feel now I have majority repeat customers, which I am so thankful for, and but a lot of young families. And I'm an odd duck. I actually live in a condo with my two kids. Nothing wrong with the house, but the house is just not for us. You know, we're a very, very busy family, and I've also been really fortunate to help young families who want to stay in Vancouver proper, who can actually get by on a condo or in a condo. So it's a different perspective I bring to the table. Nothing cookie cutter I follow.
No, exactly, and there's probably even different benefits and amenities being in a condo where you're actually not having to do certain repairs and upkeep and shoveling because you're in a condo. So there's probably a lot of good compromise.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that both my kids could swim by the time they turned 2 was incredible. The lock up and go lifestyle, we want to go camping for the weekend. We just got to lock our door, put out food for the animals, my cat, and then just be able to go and not have to worry about, did I lock the garage or whatever? But I mean, I do understand that lifestyle as well. I myself grew up in a house. I've only ever lived in a house when I was growing up. But I think, times change, and it's not about how you lived, it's what works for you now.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Yes, and so just, it's very interesting because clients, buyers or sellers, there's also people who lease. And of course, sometimes you have buyer or seller clients who also have rental properties that you buy for them as an investment, or then they go to lease out. But if we were just to focus on buying and selling, because often as a clients get married or grow or their life changes, right? They're moving up or into different types of dwellings. So you might have somebody who's both trying to say sell their condo and then move into a home, or buy a second home or a cottage. So how do you work with buyers and sellers, and then how do you merge that when your client is buying and selling?
For sure. I mean, there's no one-worded answer or one phrase that's going to work for everybody. It's definitely a case-by-case basis. But I think what's really important is, especially, Toronto and Vancouver, these are such expensive real estate markets.
It's true.
And with that being said, we're not our parents. We're not buying a house for the rest of our lives. We got to look at real estate as that stepping ladder. Maybe you're getting into something now that is only going to work for you for the next 3 to 4 years, and that is okay. I think a lot of us, our parents might say something different, but that is okay. I think it's okay to see yourself living somewhere for a short period of time, but being able to use that equity to to kind of get into something that you truly, truly want. And then therefore it comes kind of full circle, starts back from the beginning. It's when I'm moving clients into their first home, it's making sure that if their plan is to only be here for the next 3 to 4 years, what does that exit strategy look like?
Right.
Let's get you into a good building that doesn't require or doesn't have a lot of upcoming repairs. What does the strata look like? What does the financials look like? Because if my job is going to be to sell this for you in 3 years, let's get you into a building that's going to be sellable rather than something that's just good enough for now. And I think we're such a price-driven society that we want the cheapest, and the cheapest is not always the best. So I think there's a lot of factors to look into that as well.
You really bring up a great point, because I think a lot of people get in the moment of what it's going to be, and they don't have the capacity to imagine what's going to be there. So being in the industry over time and seeing the changes and seeing how, with infill and different projects that come up, are they going to lose their view? What is going to be the resale value of what they're buying? So it's what else to take into consideration. So that brings up a very good point, because my next question was going to be, how does somebody find the best realtor, right? Like, we want to make sure you out there in the world get someone like you to work with. And how do we even find them? And then you are, working all the time, and you're not out looking for new clients, because you're actually, as I understand, got so many clients who are working with you a second and a third time, and by referral and their friends. And so this working by referral is really important. But if someone new didn't have a connection and was going to find a great realtor, what do they do?
I think, like with anything, research and referral, I think that's the big one. I mean, whether you're going out and buying a car, you're not just going to buy one off the lot. You're going to Google it. You're going to figure out the pros and cons. And I think real estate, with any sort of even type of customer service, a lot of us do that. And I think when it comes to referral as well, people want to work with people that have a good reputation.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate, but I've also worked my butt off to make sure that my clients know, even from as early as 2010, that I'm only a phone call away. I check in with my clients. I like to know how they're doing, how their families exploded if that's the situation. But I still think referrals are the biggest one for sure.
I agree.
People just, again, want that trust. And if their friends had a great experience, then I think definitely they will too.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, okay, that is such a nice segue to basically, with Listed, we found so many companies out there, especially that serve realtors. You pay for a geographic area, or there are these other business models that at the end of the day are connecting a realtor to somebody or somebody to a realtor because they paid for it. So, if that geography is full, then you can't get a good realtor who's not part of it or whatever. So we just wanted to make sure that it was always based on the relationship and the referral. So that's so great because we're just getting you on Listed, which is wonderful. And the whole philosophy behind it is we make no money from getting people connected. We wanted people to be able to, if they had you and they share Listed with somebody, then that person has you as a suggestion to have as the realtor so that it's just easy. Like it's not even a referral, it's just you're automatically there. But to respect agency, if the person receiving it has a realtor, they can invite their own realtor. So you're not taking anyone's business, but you're out there. Because I think people think technology is taking over when actually it should be invisible and just leverage opportunities.
To touch on that a little further, there is enough business for all of us to go around. And the words the words you use in regards to having or finding the best realtor, it's a loaded question because I may be the best realtor for you, but I may not be the best realtor for this person. I think all of my consultations with new clients is a conversation to see if we're really going to gel, because it doesn't matter how many awards I've won, how much marketing I have done, or how many homes I have sold. If there's not a likability here, if there's no trust here, it's never going to work out. And sometimes too, you kind of get those feelings, and there's nothing wrong with that. But chances are I know another realtor who would be able to work wonders with you if we didn't, if we didn't work out. I tend to kind of like dating. I want this to be a mutually respected relationship.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. You're not hiring me as your agent to call all the shots to get everything done. At the end of the day, I'm not living in your home. You're the one making the decision. You're the one in the driver's seat. So I feel it's very important that likability, that mutual trust, it goes both ways. And so yes, I may not have sold the most homes in this area. However, if you and I have gelled, I have the market experience. I have all this knowledge that I am still able 100% confident to get you into that home that you really truly want.
That brings up a really good point because I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I think success comes in real estate, but also in other industries and even with our loved ones with time and attention. And that's what I really see you give your clients, right? Like you said, you're there at a phone call. They know that you're there for them. And everything can be found out. So it's having someone available and someone willing to go that extra mile to kind of do the great thing. And this idea of time and attention is really challenging because our time and attention is taken up by so many things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we were thinking that realtors really need a way to gain efficiency, have an extended presence, have a tool that works for themselves so that all your time is spent just serving your clients and being able to do a great job.
No, I 100% agree. But I also think the most underrated part of all of this is it's okay to say no. If another client comes and you're not able, and I know that in our industry that is wrong, but you know what you're capable of doing, and I would rather work with a handful of clients that I know that I am able to service than taking on that 6th or 7th client per se that I know I'm not able to do a good job for.
See, I think that's a great sign that you're able to say no, it's a two-way street, and that it's going to be a mutually beneficial experience. And your second point, which is so great, is that if it's something that doesn't work out, you are connected to everyone.
Absolutely.
You'll definitely know someone they could work with, and happy to refer that so that they are taken care of, which means you can actually take care of everyone.
But that's the point. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the point. I've never looked at real estate as sales. I've always looked at real estate as customer service, because that's pretty much what we are. I'm servicing. Sure, it can be salesy depending on the realtor, depending on, geographical area, but it's service at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I want my clients, this is one of the largest decisions they'll ever make in their lives. I don't want them to have any regrets.
Right.
I want them to feel that they made the decision to buy this place. I will always be that devil's advocate being like, well, you told me you wanted this, and now you're looking at this, just to challenge them, but this is their decision.
Yeah.
And I'm here not to make that decision, but I'm here to give them the tools and the confidence to make the right decision for them.
Yes, I've always thought of it like you're a guide.
Absolutely.
The pros, the cons, put all the information in front of them. They're not missing anything, and then the choice, you're empowering them with choice.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes.
Now, speaking of being empowered by choice, you, I don't know how recently, made an amazing change and joined Oakwyn from the previous brokerage.
Yes.
I was so moved, speaking of, what it means to you to service clients, and what it means to choose who you're part of. And what was the kind of mantra or slogan of Oakwyn? I love it.
Oh, it's work hard, stay humble.
Oh,
yes.
I love that.
I love it too. I think it's what kind of started my change was, to join Oakwyn was, Oakwyn is selective on who they bring on. And Oakwyn is known to have the strongest agents with the best reputation. They have been dominating Vancouver and the area for a long time. I think in order for me to continue to grow as a realtor, I think it's important to consistently challenge yourself. And one of those aspects I looked upon was surrounding myself with the best agents I could. And this past year that I've been now with Oakwyn has truly been different, the way I do business. Not to the outside world, but from the inner channels and the background stuff. You have this sense of empowerment that no matter what, this company has your back. Wow. And in real estate, that's not always common. It's just nice to know that if I need something, I have somebody to call.
It's also nice, when you have an investment property and you go and you look in the basement in the closet and you see that, oh, they've actually really done the electrical perfectly and everything's labeled.
Yeah.
I noticed right away working with you and Oakwyn, everyone in the brokerage is incredibly supportive. They're super organized. They have amazing systems. That must bring you such efficiency too.
Well, again, I don't know why I did not see the forest or the trees earlier, but that's another great thing about Oakwyn. I mean, it's not about, a lot of realtors see other realtors as competition. Oakwyn, it's all about building each other up. They have so many women initiatives. They have just so many initiatives in-house that if you want to build a team, if you want to be learn this aspect of your business, all the tools are here ready for you. Yeah. And it's not about, well, I learned that back 20 years ago, I don't need to learn it anymore. It's such an evolving industry, but Oakwyn is there holding your hand through the whole entire process, saying, okay, you know what, let's take on this, let's take on this. So even though I've been in the industry a long time, it's nice to constantly be learning. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, always be learning. Not always be closing, it's always be learning.
Always be learning.
Always
ABL.
be learning brings the closings.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay, so I want to say, I don't know if you know this, but before Listed was even an idea in my mind, I, as a consumer, was walking down the street and I saw this cute little white house, and I wasn't even thinking about real estate, but it just jumped into my heart. So I saw this house and thought, oh, wow, it's for sale, because I saw the sign and thought, I'd love to live here. And then there was a phone number on the sign, so I called it, and you'll laugh, but I just figured that the agent was around the corner waiting to show me in the house. right?
Yeah.
Much farther from the truth than
that's
we can
reality
imagine.
TV to blame.
Yeah, yeah. So I called the number and I got someone who was like, seemed very fast and very rushed, and it was the front desk of some office, you know, and she didn't even know what house it was. And I said, well, I don't either. It says 48, but I didn't even know what street I was on. So I walked down to the end of the street, found the name of the street, said, oh, it's 48, this street. And she said, oh, yeah, it's this agent. Well, I'll have them paged. I'm like, paged? Is that like a fax?
Yeah.
So speaking about the plasticity and flexibility of brokerages, like, so I thought, okay, this doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Sure, have them paged. Yeah. But I'm going to Google it. Yeah. Right, because that's the next thing we're going to do, right? Next we'll chat GPT it. But so I Googled it and I thought, wow, is everyone selling this house?
How do you know who to call? Yeah.
Why is every realtor in all of Toronto selling that house, right? It's so confusing as a consumer out there in the world to even know how real estate works.
Yes.
And then as a designer and technology person, I just wanted to tap a button and find everything about this house and go in and see it. And at this point, I'm starting to actually go from wanting to buy this house to being frustrated that there's no solution and I can't just get in to see it. And I started feeling bad for the seller that I'm standing out front and I'm having trouble seeing it. So even half the websites I tapped didn't have a phone number. They had a wall of contact information. It's beyond me why the real estate industry makes themselves so hard to be contacted. Now that is changing. So we basically created what I wanted. We created an app where you open it up, you tap a button, and the house you're looking at pops in front of you. Okay? So I would have worked with probably the first realtor I'd met if they'd been any good at all.
Yes.
So I thought, wow. The next thing I learned was that realtors themselves didn't actually have a tool where they could tap a button and have the house pop up in front of them. Mind blowing. So where all these other prop tech companies went direct to consumer to make money and do this, I thought, wow, I think the real secret sauce here is aligning the interests of consumers and realtors from a technology level so that a relationship is enhanced. So now, if you've got your QR code on a listing on your sign, and as a consumer, you hold up your phone and you get information from that listing on it, you're going to get that agent whose listing it is.
Right.
If you don't already have one. But if you already have an agent, when you put your phone up for the QR code for that property, it keeps you connected to your agent.
Right.
Because the idea is you want to be connected to a single agent. You don't want to be calling a different agent for every single listing because then you're never going to win, especially in this seller's market right now.
But I think, even just to add on that further, it's frustrating. I mean, if you're just constantly, you want information on this property, and if they're withholding, or you have that agent paged and they don't get back to you until tomorrow because for whatever reason they're out in Muskoka and they don't have any reception, you just want the information. Like, can I afford this house? Is this a $5 million house? Is this a 2.1? Like, what's going on?
You brought up a really interesting point earlier that when we were off camera that I thought was really funny. You said to me, could you imagine going to a dealership to buy a truck and it's like, here's all the things about this vehicle, and then they don't have the price?
Yes.
Who does that?
It's frustrating, but that's what you do. Well, it's actually really funny. I'm working with this client right now, and we had an offer in on a property a while ago, and they loved it. We did the home inspection, and the home inspection was atrocious. The previous owners had done so much work in the house that the main floor of the house was actually no longer supported because they took the beams out.
Wow.
Very scary. It was a 112-year-old house. But so my client now said, before I even write another offer, I want to do a home inspection. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, how do I know how much to offer if I don't know what's wrong with the house? And I'm like, why do we do everything backwards?
Right.
When you buy a truck, my husband's buying a truck right now, that's why I know about trucks. You are going to the dealership, you're taking it for a test drive. You're learning it about everything, then you start negotiating on price. Why is real estate completely backwards? You are just assuming that the price you put on the listing is market value, and then all of a sudden people just start bidding up higher.
Right.
When they don't even know what could be wrong with this house. And
Right.
not just that, with these new times, it's amazing how many people are skipping that initial home inspection to begin with. So I couldn't even imagine buying a vehicle without getting it checked out.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
here are people who are buying millions of dollars worth of property being like, yeah, it's fine. Who are these people?
And it's really challenging, right? Because you might actually, have you had clients or colleagues who had clients where you're actually faced with this conundrum of, I don't know enough about this house to make an informed decision about buying it, but 20 other people want to buy it right now, and the price keeps going up in these blind bids, and we either just need to roll the dice and get this house or let someone else get it. So what do you do in that situation?
I think I have a lot of these conversations with clients prior that bidding wars, when it comes down to a bidding war and you win, you have simply just won because you decided to pay the most for this house. That is all you've won. You have won the opportunity to pay a ridiculous amount of money for a property. Going through it, before we even start bidding on a property, it's making sure what's your top line and not losing sight of that top line. It's so important. We all have that competitiveness in our bellies.
Yeah.
I want to win. I want to win.
Yeah.
And I have lost properties for $1,000, and my clients are devastated. I'm devastated for them.
Yeah.
It's really, really important that we don't lose sight of what we're doing in the sense when it comes to homes. Yes, $1,000 over the course of 30 years is not a big deal, but that's one risk you take on. The other risk, if you're skipping a home inspection, another risk, but I think we're all programmed right now that there's no such thing as a bad investment, especially in markets like Toronto and Vancouver.
Yeah, where it's constantly going up.
My only regret in real estate is not buying more. That is my only regret.
Yeah.
And I look back at opportunities I had even 5 years ago where I'm like, no, that's a lot of money. Those have now doubled.
Right.
You know, anybody who had bought a property in 2010 has almost more. Like, they pretty much just became wealthy overnight for doing absolutely nothing. So it's being able to take in those risks, being able to be okay and sleeping at night.
That brings up another great point then, because I guess part of it is the education for people too, that what seems like a lot of money now and what maybe even is overpaying in this moment for a house, that if you run the tape forward and look into the future and say, if I spend this money now, I am going to make $350,000 more in 4 years and do nothing. So it's this, especially in some markets where it's quite secure.
I would never say that because people don't ever take that to the bank.
It's true. It's true.
But I think, again, real estate has just been so solid for so many years that it's almost become that dependable asset that you know that you're always going to get your money out of it. And once you're in the real estate market, you can completely dictate the market. If the sales go down or the market goes down, then you hold on to it. If the market goes up, you sell, or you look at the opportunity of renting. Yeah. I mean, the rents in both of our cities are through the roof.
Yeah.
I just saw the news the other day about saying now that Canada is on the largest real estate bubble ever.
Right.
I moved out to Vancouver in 2005. I had an opportunity to buy at the Lonsdale Quay. They wanted $265,000 for a condo. This was 2005. But I had bought a house for $170,000. I had a really hard time. You want $265 or and it also faced the water. But anyways, I was like, no, my dad's like, buy it. I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here for. You know, I didn't buy until 2009. I still bought for a good deal, but things continued to increase.
Yeah.
And I know people that I met back in 2010 that were like, call me if you know of a good deal. They are so far priced out of this market.
Right.
It's hard, you know?
Yeah.
And I think because when we look at, let's say, even 10 years ago when you could buy a house for $500,000, the world I come from, $500,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that song always makes me laugh, but like Bare Naked Ladies in the song, If I Had $1 Million, if you won $1 million right now on 649,
You could not buy a house.
you can't buy a house.
Yeah. And in fact, you could have $1 million and actually not be qualified to buy the house because it's based on your income.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, I have $1 million to put down. Oh, I'm sorry, you still can't buy that, $2.2 million home.
Which is
with a mortgage.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
$1 million. $1 million. And but it's such a crazy world. But I think going back to the initial, it's just pretty much can people take on these risks? And
can they take on the risks?
Yeah.
And as you said, if you hold on to it. So I just want to take that little, if you can hold on to it. So another responsibility in having a great agent is, can you hold on to it? And so recently, of course, a lot of people have been probably asking themselves, can I hold on to this with the rising interest rates?
Yes.
Have you seen that affecting your clients, or how do you deal with those changing tides of where are interest rates going and what are their costs going to be?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not finding a lot of clients are overly worried. Sorry, let's start again. The people who are in the real estate market, the people who already currently own property, they're not having a hard time unless they bought in the height of like early 2021 or 2021 in general. But it's the people who are still trying to get into the market. The purchasing power of what you could buy now, what you can buy now is completely different than what you could have bought a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, there's a lot of adjustments we all have to take on. I know personally, I'm a variable mortgage and my mortgage has tripled. My mortgage broker calls me all the time and says, this is the time you should probably think of locking in. And I'm like, never. I have come this far, I'm not locking in now. Yeah. I do believe they're going to eventually come down. This is just not sustainable. Yeah. Moving forward, this is just not sustainable. But again, I'm comfortable with those risks. And if it ever got to the point where it got too tight, the beauty of owning real estate is you can borrow from another property, which I am very thankful and grateful that my husband's 100% on board with. Every time we have money in the bank, we purchase another property.
I love it.
And we don't drive fancy cars, but that's what we have done. That's our nest egg. I mean,
I love your philosophy of education from your father as a young girl, and then your husband in your marriage that's been a long time with your 2 children has basically allowed you to utilize real estate to bring wealth and prosperity and joy into your life, so that it's just a natural that you could be doing that for other people and clients.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, I think it's even 25 years ago, real estate was looked upon not as an investment, but a home.
Yeah.
And that's really switched. That's really just kind of switched up.
Yeah.
People look at it as an investment, and it is. With what we pay for property here, it is an amazing place to live, but it's also probably the hardest city to get ahead.
Yeah.
And that's sad when I'm working with clients who are making $200,000 a year combined, and they're not able to get approved, or if they can, it's $500,000. And unfortunately, $500,000 doesn't get you much in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah. Okay, so this is great. So I would like to ask you about, it could be over time or currently, but your relationship in general with technology. And then we got excited about bringing Listed to you, which you're just going to get started to use. So don't worry, you can use Listed with Maureen. Her link will be below. What has your relationship to technology been over time, and how do you see it now, and what are you excited about?
I'm going to sound like a boomer. No, I found that I was always with it. Yeah. I think technology is so important. It's definitely streamlined so many aspects of real estate. When it comes to lead generation, marketing, back end, it has just done wonders for our industry. ChatGPT is my favorite tool in the world. But it's also something that is constantly changing on the daily. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
I think sometimes us realtors, we struggle with wearing too many hats. I get pitched all the time from spam calls about, we can make your website, this lead generating website. I don't want to compete with Realtor.ca or REW or even Listed. I don't want to compete. I am a realtor. I utilize my website as a landing page, as an opportunity for you to get to know me.
Yep.
And if it works, give me a call. Let's talk things through. But technology, as quickly as it's growing, I think it's also really important that we've gone not too far, but I think that one-on-one, picking up the phone and talking to a real person, not a bot, has almost made a complete 180.
Yeah.
Because half the times you go onto websites, you get a pop-up screen right away. What can I help you with?
To anyone.
And it's just easier. Like every time I have to call like my bank, it's like, press 0 to talk to an operator, like 0. No, I can help you. And I don't want to talk to a bot. I just want to talk to a real person because my question is 2-second question.
Right.
You know, I just need to know this. That's all I need to know. So I think sometimes technology can overcomplicate things if it's misused.
Absolutely.
And if people just don't want to know or how to use it. But I also think too, it's important to not be afraid of it. I think talking with a lot of agents are afraid of AI and technology because they feel like it's competition, that it's taking over their job as an agent. And agents who have been in the industry my length of time or longer are seriously worried. So I think I think we need to look at technology as more of a partnership, as these are giving us, it's kind of just like when the fax machine came along, rather than agents having to run to people's houses, driving an hour away to get a signature,
you could fax it.
You could fax it.
Yeah.
And I think it's convenience. And but I think technology is as much as it continues to impress me, it's important to keep up to date on it, but we don't need to know the ins and outs of every aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we believe technology is so that it makes the relationship front and center. And it allows you to empower your clients with tools that they and you can use together as an agent-client collaboration tool. Because like you said, your expertise is in real estate, right? It's not in building an app. But it is up to you to provide your clients with the best tools that you can use to work together. So when they're walking down the street and they see any house, they could just tap the button, find it, and at a tap, call you if they need. And you're not hiding any information. The price is there, the sold date is there, everything is there. So it's really giving them everything because you have the confidence that as they learn more, it will inspire deeper conversations for you to be that guide to them.
Absolutely. And I've always wondered why real estate is like one of those industries that always kind of keeps everything so hidden. Like it's like the realtors are now in this role of being a gatekeeper. And again, going back to that car analogy, like I would be so frustrated because walking around or even shopping, let's just use shopping as an example. I always check the price tag because that price tag is going to make me determine whether or not I need this, if this is a need or a want, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. I remember someone saying a long time ago, if you look at the price tag, then chances are you can't afford it. Because, right? And I'm just like, well, no, because sometimes just seeing that price tag, if you're seeing this house across the street and it's listed for, let's say $2 million, your brain can start saying, okay, well, maybe I can subdivide the house. Maybe I can rent out the basement. It gets you, it's that research phase. It kind of gets the ball going. Real estate is an everyday conversation. Even if I wasn't a realtor, I think I would be talking about real estate every single day because it is such a hot and interesting topic. I mean, they say the richest people in the world are rich because of real estate. It's kind of that entry level, and people are always curious about real estate. So I think with technology and that collaboration, why not have that opportunity to give buyers and sellers all that information so they can make a decision whether or not they want to pick up that phone and call you to inquire about more.
Exactly. And you know how you said with technology, you don't need to know under the hood. You just need something that works so people can reach you. And everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon, and everyone thinks AI is just going to write your listing description. So I want to show you what we're doing and get your opinion on this.
Awesome.
What if, okay, all of a sudden you could just get a note from another realtor that said, I have an exclusive listing in an area that your client is interested in, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can call them and you have this direct communication.
Yep.
So I don't know, I know in Toronto, there are exclusive listings and coming soon to MLS listings. We as a company believe everything should go to the MLS. We think the MLS is the greatest technology. It sets North America apart from everywhere else in the world who do not have official MLSs.
Yes.
I'm part of the Real Estate Standards Organization, where we help define the real estate standards for data that get passed down to all the MLSs.
Very cool.
So you can also be confident that your app is well taken care of and has all the standards. But you know, basically, we do this because we want to make sure that when you're out there with clients, you've got everything at your fingertips. And there is some inventory in some neighborhoods and some situations with sellers where they can't go to MLS. I know one I hadn't even thought of that a realtor was telling me is often when he's working with older clients, you know, when you put a property on the MLS, it has to be showable within a certain period of time, right?
Absolutely.
And some of these older people just need this ability to be in their home for a certain bit of time and not have people come into it and be able to sell it and do things. So it depends what's important. So I wanted to ask you where you stand in relationship to exclusive listings and if that's in your market at all and what's going on here in relationship to exclusives.
No, it's a great question. It's not in my market.
Okay.
Majority of my clients want as much exposure as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Where the MLS is just beautiful for that.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place for it. And I mean, I understand the importance of it. I understand why some clients would not want hundreds of people running or rummaging through their home.
Yeah.
I respect it. But I would say majority of my clients are more
Yeah, it's always
standard.
better to get
Yeah.
exposure. I would say the only reason a exclusive would even exist is you can't get exposure because it's even, I think people don't always know this, but it could be a domestic, it could be
Absolutely.
high net worth individual. It could be all kinds of reasons that you can't do it. So in support of the MLS, what we thought is if on Listed we had all the MLS data and a network built on real estate standards in support of organized real estate, that for those listings that just can't go to MLS, you as realtors would be able to access them. It wouldn't be open to the public. It would just be realtors. And the new CREA law coming out in 2024 about exclusives, as far as I know, we're going to be the only application that supports a direct one-to-one communication. And that's where AI has been able to support that for us. So
Absolutely. No, I think that's brilliant. I mean, at the end of the day, any realtor who takes an exclusive listing wants to sell it.
they want to sell it.
You
and
know,
they want to cooperate, which I think people don't understand.
100%.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and I think some agents just don't understand why listing would be an exclusive.
Right.
And I think sometimes too, the agents who do take the exclusives, they've got the network where they would be able to sell it quickly,
Right.
quietly,
Yeah.
and that discretion is very appreciated by number of clients.
It's true. And I think there was an old school way, we talk about change in the industry, there was an old school time where you try to double end it, or you'd have an exclusive listing and it's bad for your seller because they're not getting exposure, but you're just trying. And I really see amongst all the realtors that have exclusive listings, that's really changed. They're serving an area where that's prevalent, or they've got certain clients. So we actually are working on an initiative to take that exclusive listing data, anonymize it, and give it back to the MLS so the MLS remains the source of truth. So I'm really hoping
That'd be
that
very cool.
these initiatives, and you mentioned some of the other apps that people might use, and we, like you with the realtors, not being your competitors, but being, you know, people you work with, and maybe not everyone is perfect with you and your team. So we actually feel that there should be this, at the MLS level and at the brokerage level, a choice for what service you want to use, because then it keeps those services in healthy competition with each other.
Absolutely.
So that you can be certain that you're using the best one.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just talking to an agent from Oakland. It's another agent that I don't know if I even mentioned.
No.
But they have a team, and I was speaking with the manager of their team.
Okay.
And she said to me, okay, so let's go to a listing and look at it and see when it was last updated. And I said, oh, it'll be updated like right as soon as the MLS updates it. It's refreshed hourly. So we looked at a listing. It was refreshed hourly, but she said, oh, it's refreshed hourly, but nothing changed since August 20th. And I said, oh, that's because nobody updated it since August 20th. Let's look at another one.
Yeah.
So she pulled up hers, and I said, oh, that was August 23 at 6:46 a.m. And she goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was my listing. I did that this morning, and it was already up instantly
Amazing.
when I did it. So I really love quality, accuracy. When you said Oakland only takes certain agents, they want all the wheat.
Yeah.
They're not willing to take the chaff. And that's what we're achieving with Listed. We don't want, our aim is to have, if 20% of the best agents are on it, like you.
Thank you.
And when I say
Yeah.
best agent, to me that means your clients have your time and attention, you have them at heart, and you're in a two-way relationship that's good for both of you. To me, that's a top agent.
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
Right? And it's
Thank you.
bringing up
Yeah.
in your heart because you know how true that is. And you
Absolutely.
think about all the late nights and the early mornings or the
Well-
things in your own life that, because when you're buying a house and the offer's on the table,
Yeah.
I know your kid needs this, but you actually have to do it right now.
But and I think but I mean you kind of hit the nail on the head there too. It's just, you know, I'm on Instagram all the time, and you see all
Right.
these people saying, "Oh, it's so easy to become a realtor. Your income is sky high, endless. You can make as much as you want." And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, that goes on behind the
Absolutely.
scenes.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of reels that are going around right now about what it looks like when a realtor's on vacation. You know, people think that we're just sitting there, you know, relaxing in the sun. No, every time, and everybody knows this, as soon as a realtor books a vacation, that's when they get the busiest.
Right.
And it's trying to juggle that and being able to work through all that and having an understanding in your relationships that this is what my job is can be demanding.
Yeah.
But I also think too, and maybe it comes with age, maybe it comes with experience, but it's setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, there was an older agent and his voicemail was always, if you're calling me if this call is coming in after 7 o'clock, just keep in mind that I will not return your phone call till the next day. And I was like, 7 o'clock? That's so early. Like, but I understand. Those are the boundaries he set
Right.
for his business. And I just I understand. Now, you know, of course I answer phone calls at all hours of the day. Still haven't set that boundary in, but setting those boundaries is important and letting your clients when you
Exactly.
work the best.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say that defines when you have Listed and you're going to be using it, which I'm excited for you
Very
to do.
excited.
I want to say that it's really important to me that when people like me standing in front of that house and needed to find an agent, that they can actually do that on Listed. And Maureen is an amazing agent. So if you do need a way to be in touch with real estate, you're walking down the street and you just want to find something.
Honestly, I'm just so excited to be a part of this. I think it's about time that this amount of information is getting put into prospective buyers and sellers' hands.
Absolutely.
I am no longer the gatekeeper. All the information's out there. So I think it's going to, you know, give more empowerment to the buyers and sellers out there, and for them to now spark new conversations with their potential mortgage brokers about how they can get into that next home. So thank you.
Absolutely. Could you just feel that energy? That's exactly what I want you to feel, and you should know you're in such good hands. I actually, to the realtor question, thought at the end of the day, they should be someone who you think, I couldn't have done that without you at the end of the experience. So I think anyone who is calling you is going to feel that. And Thank you for being here
Thank
today.
you so much. This is great.
Okay.